As one of the greatest women to ever participate in the softball world, Joan Joyce would make her talent known for those to see. Joan Joyce was born on August 1st, 1940 in Waterbury, Connecticut. At a young age, she began to try out pitching. When she first started, she used the traditional windmill method, but she could not gain much speed or control. She learned the basics of pitching from Tony Marinara, their mailman. Each day after school, Joan would come home and help Tony with his deliveries, and once they were finished, he would work with her for 10 to 15 minutes. Tony was the one who suggested that she try out for the Ray Bestos Broquettes, but instead, Joyce tried out for her brother's Little League team, which she made as a catcher. In the first game that she ever played with the Little League team, she hit a triple and a single. After that game, the coaches decided that girls were no longer allowed to play on the team. With hardly any success with the windmill pitching style, Joan was taught the slingshot pitch by Cannonball Baker, a former male softball player and a member of the Connecticut Hall of Fame. The slingshot pitch is a little different compared to the windmill style. The first difference is that you do not go in a full circle with your arm, but bring it to just behind your back before shooting your arm forward. Secondly, in the windmill pitch, you only open your hips about a fourth of the way before bringing your arm through to the release point. But in the slingshot style, your hips are completely open and facing third base. With the slingshot pitch, Joan was able to throw her rise ball much easier. It allowed her to get under the ball just enough so that she could make it shoot up at the end just as the batter began their swing. She was famous for her screwball, but could also throw a curve, rise, drop, and knuckle. Most impressively, she could throw a fastball at 70 miles per hour. At age 16, she tried out for the Ray Bestos Broquettes and made the team as both a second baseman and an outfielder. In 1957, Joan was chosen as the All-American for the American Softball Association. And at age 18, Joan Joyce pitched her very first no-hitter in the National Fast Pitch Softball Championship. Growing up, each year, the town of Waterbury, Connecticut held a fundraiser called the Jimmy Fund. In the year 1961, the town decided to bring Ted Williams into town as a way to raise even more money than the years before. Ted was known for being one of the greatest hitters in baseball. On the night of the game, 17,000 fans packed the stadium that was originally built for half that number. Also on that night, Joan would be dealing with an injury to her arm, but was still determined to give everything she had. Standing on a mound 40 feet away from home plate, Joyce waited for Williams to step up. He was in no way ready for what Joyce was about to bring to him. Her first pitch was a fastball reaching 70 miles per hour, which was equivalent to a baseball being thrown at 119 miles per hour. Williams fouled off 3 pitches. Joyce then threw him a few rise balls out of the zone, and then she finished him up with 1 drop ball. Williams repeatedly swung and missed. He was at the plate for about 10 to 15 minutes. After the game, Joyce said, "I threw to him for about 10 minutes. He fouled off 1 or 2 pitches, but that's all. He threw his bat down and walked away." 5 years later, Ted Williams and Joan Joyce would meet once again for the Jimmy Fund. Joyce would strike out Williams for the second time. He took the first pitch from her as a ball and then immediately struck out on the next 3 rise balls that she delivered to him. Joan attended Chapman College in California, now called Chapman University, where she led her women's softball team to a championship title in 1965. While attending Chapman College in 1962, she played a season for the Orange Lionettes. After graduating from college, Joyce returned home to Waterbury, Connecticut, where she rejoined her alma mater, the Ray Bestos Broquettes. In her 1974 season with the team, they won 42 games. Joyce's greatest contribution to the softball world was when she led the USA women's softball team to the ISF World Championship, the first ever for an American softball team. Joyce pitched a no-hitter against Australia and threw a one-hitter against Japan to win the championship game. During the final game, the Japanese players tried to get into Joyce's head by wearing helmets when they were up to bat, which was something that was not yet done in women's softball. However, Joyce did not let their nonsense faze her. Also in the year 1974, while she played her women's season with the Broquettes, Joan was the first ever woman honored the Gold Key from the Connecticut Sports Writers Alliance. A year later, in 1975, Joan Joyce retired from the Ray Besto's Sprockets, and in 1976, she helped found the International Women's Professional Softball Association. She moved away from her softball life and transitioned into the golf world in 1977. During her golf career, she did not have a decent record, but was considered one of the finest athletes in women's pro golf. In her entire career, she never won a single tournament, nor did she finish higher than 6th place. However, she was able to drive a ball down the course between 230 to 240 yards, which was incredible compared to stats of other women golfers of the time. She never shot higher than the high 80s to low 90s, but later qualified to be a regular participant of the Ladies Professional Golf Association. She spent 19 years total on the LPGA Tour, playing on the U.S. Women's National Basketball Team and playing and coaching volleyball for the Connecticut Clippers. She was inducted into the National Softball Hall of Fame in 1983, and in 1989 she was inducted into the International Softball Hall of Fame. In 1994, Joan Joyce became the first female softball coach in the history of Florida Atlantic University, and 2 years later, in 1996, she became the women's golf coach and senior administrator at FAU. So far during her coaching career at FAU, she has had a total of 8 consecutive conference wins. At 75 years old, she is still the head softball coach at Florida Atlantic University. In the year 1995, she was named Atlantic Sun Conference Coach of the Year. This would be the first of 5 for her. Many of Joan's awards and accomplishments did not come until the 1990s. To name a few, in 1997, she was inducted into the Waterbury Hall of Fame, and both the New England Women's Sports Hall of Fame and International Softball Federation Hall of Fame in 1999. At the end of Joan Joyce's career, she had a total of 753 career pitching wins and only 42 losses. Out of those totals, she had 150 no-hitter, no-run games, 50 complete games, and finished her batting career with a .324 average. To say the least, Joan Joyce was great at what she did.